Ladies and gentlemen, Paul Leslie presents. And now your host, Paul Leslie.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is with great pleasure we welcome the very talented, the very affable, Mr. Conal Fowkes. Thank you so much.
Hello, Paul.
Hello, welcome.
Nice to talk to you again.
Who is Conal Fowkes for those who didn't hear the first interview?
Oh, you want me to tell them who Conal Fowkes is?
Let's hear it. From your perspective, who is Conal Fowkes?
Well, Conal Fowkes is just a regular working musician, and I live in New York, and that's the center of my activities. And I play the piano, I play the double bass, I sing on occasion, and you and I guess, met and first became introduced via my involvement with the Woody Allen New Orleans Jazz Band, which is one of the gigs that I regularly do and still do. And maybe that kind of sums it up.
And kind of as a result of the Woody Allen New Orleans Jazz Band or the Eddy Davis New Orleans Jazz Band, depends on who you ask, tell us about the Eddy Davis and Conal Fowkes duo.
Eddy Davis and I go back a long time, probably a good 12 or 13 years working together in various groups. Initially, Eddy's band, which was about a six-piece band we played regularly for years. Eddy was the person who brought me into the Woody Allen Jazz Band because Eddy is the musical director and banjoist of that group. And out of these various groups that we played together with, we got along so well musically, and we have a very similar approach and feel for the music that we play together. And it just was very natural that we started playing as a duo. And the first kind of real launch of our duo was a few summers ago. Woody Allen went to Barcelona, Spain, to make the movie called Vicky Cristina Barcelona. Eddy thought it might be a great idea if he and I could find a little place in Barcelona to play the duo while Woody was filming. It would mean that Woody could drop by whenever he felt like it and join in with us and jam or play a concert or however he felt. He contacted a hotel over there, the Casa in Barcelona, and we set up this fantastic gig. We were there for about 10 weeks. We played 5 nights a week, the duo, Eddy Davis and myself. And Woody, of course, was there busy filming every day. He had an extremely busy schedule to make the movie. He was there for the same period of time, about 10 weeks. But on his off time, and I think to relieve himself of some of the stress of the movie set, he would come down and hang out with us at the Casa and play the clarinet with us, and we'd become a trio. And sometimes it would be in the middle of the day in the venue where people would come in for coffee and sandwiches, and sometimes he'd come and join us for our evening concert. It was wonderful. The last week of that engagement, after playing for 9 weeks or so, in our last week, we met this wonderful young Brazilian filmmaker, Arturo Quetzolo, who was in Barcelona at the time. And Eddy said, hey, how do you feel about getting a crew together real quick and filming one of our live concerts? He did, and he did a beautiful job, and that's what you saw on the DVD of the duo live in Barcelona.
Well, tell us a little bit about that hotel where this DVD was recorded. And for everyone out there that may be wondering, the title of that DVD, it's Eddy Davis and Conal Fowkes live in concert, and it was filmed in Barcelona. So tell us about where that was shot. What was the hotel? You said Casa Fusta?
Yeah, the name of the hotel was the Casa Fusta. The building is a historically famous building, and it's a listed building, a protected building. The architect was, I believe, the teacher of Gaudí, who is of course, most famous architect associated with Barcelona. This gentleman had several famous buildings in Barcelona. So you have this, now it's a hotel, but it's in the most beautiful building you can imagine. And the cafe, what is now a cafe where we played, is called the Cafe Viennes. And you can see it a little bit in the DVD. It has this incredible layout to the room. These golden, it's actually real gold leaf arches and these cavernous ceilings, beautiful mosaic marble floor, there's pillars, and I mean, it's just this beautiful setting. And accidentally, it had a great acoustic, because obviously it wasn't designed for music at all. And even since it's been a hotel, they'd never had live music there. It's now one of the premier jazz clubs in Barcelona. So if any of your listeners are in Barcelona on vacation, I highly recommend take a trip to the Casa Hotel. It's at one end of the famous Passeig de Gracia, which is a main boulevard, runs right from the sea up through the city, and go and have a cocktail and listen to some great jazz. And if you look on the wall, one of the walls in the cafe, they actually put up this beautiful bronze plaque, commemorative plaque, and it's a bronze figure of myself and Eddy Davis and Woody Allen playing in trio. So you can see that on the wall there.
You're a part of history now, Conal.
Oh, I don't know about that.
Spending 10 weeks there, you have to have some stories. Tell us what maybe your greatest memory of your time over there in Barcelona was.
Barcelona is a fantastic city to spend time in, and we were there for a long stretch of time. So we went out regularly and saw all kinds of wonderful things. We saw all the, historic buildings and sites of the city, the cathedral that's still under construction that Gaudi's designing. We even went to a bullfight, which I've never been to in my life. I don't know if I'll ever go again. It's a pretty gory experience. But the filming going on at the time meant that Eddy and I could go on the set anytime during the day and actually see Woody directing these A-list Hollywood stars. And that was very exciting. It was actually the first time for me to see Woody on a movie set and directing. I only see him on the bandstand. And that was very interesting, and to see how it's all done and to meet some of the folks that were in the film. I met Scarlett Johansson and Penelope Cruz and Javier Bardem, all the crew, the cameramen, and all that kind of stuff. And that for me was, very interesting, very exciting. Along with all this beautiful stuff in Barcelona, flamenco music, and there's a traditional Catalan. Catalan is the region that Barcelona's in, and there's a traditional Catalan orchestra that plays in the cathedral square, the old cathedral square, every Sunday at noon. And they've been doing it for hundreds of years. And I've never heard music like this before. It sounds so ancient and beautiful. They're playing some instruments I've never seen in my life before. And after a while, you think you've seen it all. But that was pretty spectacular.
Now, what about local musicians? Did you meet any of them? Did maybe any of them sit in with you?
Yes, we met a lot of local musicians, actually. Word travels pretty fast, and Eddy and I love to meet other musicians anyway, so we were very open to guys coming and sitting in with us, and a lot of them did, and we met some of the kind of major traditional jazz musicians that are in Barcelona. Just to mention one guy in particular, I met a wonderful pianist there called Ignasi Terrassa, who's blind, and I would say about my age, about the same age, and fantastic musician. And he plays more modern jazz, mainstream jazz, bebop, and traditional jazz. So he's kind of a very broad player. And we did some four hands playing at the piano there, which was wonderful. That's an idiom I like to play in, and he was such a wonderful musician, and that was very exciting. But we met a lot of good guys down there that came. There was a local musician there, Oscar Font, who plays trombone and clarinet, who was actually very instrumental in setting up the whole gig for us. We couldn't have done it without him. He did a lot of the groundwork for us while we were still in New York. And he's a very fun musician and came and sat in with us many, many times. So, yeah, it was good. We met a lot of local guys.
I hope I'm getting the website right, but for everyone who maybe is listening and like to follow along what you guys do, that is Eddy Davis and Conal Fowkes, the website is davisfowkes.com, DAVISFOWKES, correct?
Yes, that's it.
Something that I noticed, there's a link there to your Flickr, your photos.
Yeah.
You live quite an interesting life.
Well, I like it. I don't know if it's interesting to anyone else, but
You know, when you really think about it, you mentioned you got to meet Scarlett Johansson. I would faint right there, but you you got to play in Barcelona. This seems like it was an amazing gig. I saw the picture of you with Harry Belafonte. You've gotten to play all around the world with doing your music. It's actually quite amazing.
I have. I just feel so lucky to be able to do that. There is a lot of luck and just whatever the word is involved in that. And I have been very lucky. And music is one of those jobs that can literally take you all over the world. And you can play very happily with guys that you cannot even say hello to because you don't speak the same language. But it's great to have music. I think I've played in about 54 different nations so far. So there's still many more to go, but the list is growing, which is great.
I had the opportunity to interview Eddy Davis, and I wanted to see, this is an observation I had, you guys seem like you are close friends.
Yes, we are, very much so.
Yeah, I seem to get that. Would you say he's one of your better friends?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I met Eddy fairly soon after I emigrated to the States. So I've known him almost the whole time I've been here. And we've always gone along great. We get along so well musically, which adds a whole other dimension to your friendship because you communicate on this other level too, And he's been great. And I owe Eddy a huge debt for so many things. I mean, he's taught me so much about playing. He's taught me so many tunes. He's introduced me to so many musicians and situations, and the list goes on. Yeah, he's a very, very close friend, very good friend.
And he's a most interesting guy. He makes a great interview, I should add.
Absolutely. I agree with you 100%. He's had a fascinating life. Lots to talk about.
Well, I wanted to kind of talk a little bit about the DVD. It features a lot of songs that have been featured in Woody Allen movies, and the new movie, which hits theaters in Atlanta on Friday. We're a little behind, but it's Midnight in Paris, and it features you singing some Cole Porter numbers. What do you think of the film?
I'm unashamed to admit that I've seen it 3 times already. I loved the film. I really loved it, and I won't, give away too much for your listeners who haven't seen it yet, but it's one of, if not the favorite of Woody Allen's movies that I've seen. My wife, who is a more of a connoisseur of his movies, in fact, than I am, and she's a huge fan, she says it's pretty much her favorite of his films so far. So whatever that means, there you go.
I think you also lended your piano talent. You performed the song Barcarolle, is that correct?
That's right, yeah. There was one scene that needed a little bit of classical music behind it, and I'm playing the piano with 2 wonderful violinists, Irving and Lisa Yedas, playing Barcarolle from the Tales of Hoffmann by Offenbach.
I can't wait to see that movie. One of the things I like about Woody Allen's movies is he always picks just the most incredible music.
Yeah, absolutely. All his films pretty much have got great scores to them. Yeah, I agree.
We talked about Dizzy Fingers on our last interview. I really love that record, and I was wondering if you've thought at all about recording another one.
Paul, I would love to record an album a week if I could. One of the problems with the music business, I guess, nowadays, and I'm sure you're probably more up on this than I am, is, where's it all going now? The record companies are getting less and less. Record stores are all but gone. It's still in this kind of flux stage between you can still buy CDs, but it looks like it's all heading to just downloads, and so it's difficult to know what to do these days. And to self-produce a record is, it's a considerable expense. I still have many boxes of Dizzy Fingers sitting in my apartment I haven't been able to sell. And so I asked myself, do I spend another several thousand and make another album that's going to sit there in boxes again? So, there's all this great music that I love, and I'd love to put it down and record it and this, that, and the other. And I certainly will, one of these days. But it's some of these other elements come into your decision-making now, which is a shame, but it's not just based on musical output.
Yeah.
So we'll see. People have been telling me since the Midnight in Paris movie, you should do an album of all Cole Porter songs, just at the piano, like Cole Porter recorded back in the day. I think, wow, that's a great idea. But that would be, quite a big project and months of work, preparation, and then the expense of producing it. And then you got this CD, and how do you get it out there,
Yeah. It's definitely a changing business model. I guess you could always say, that's a fantastic idea. Would you like to finance it?
Well, there you go. Yeah, that should have been the response. Yeah.
What is on the horizons? What's in the future for Conal Fowkes?
Let's see. The immediate future, Woody Allen is about to leave to go to Rome to make the new movie, the next movie. No sooner does his last one come out than he's off to make another one. So Eddy and myself would love to try and get a similar situation in Rome than we did in Barcelona. And there's some people trying to set something up for us there. Nothing's confirmed. We don't know if it's going to happen, but that's a possibility for this summer. And that might be another lengthy stay. A little trio concert with Woody and Eddy and myself in Moscow this summer at some point. I live right outside New York City, and I'm involved in lots of different groups and working with singers and the Cuban bands that I play with and solo things. So there's always plenty going on for me, fortunately. So I'm always doing stuff in the New York City area. Yeah, things are usually pretty busy, which is nice.
Very good. Well, if you go to Rome or Moscow, you need a radio documentarian to bring with you.
Oh, yeah, I'll have a word. I'll see if we can put it on the rider.
All right. Well, Conal, it's always a pleasure to speak to you. I have one final question. You have any words of wisdom for our people out there listening?
Oh, words of wisdom. I wish I were wise, Paul. I'll say one thing, and this might be similar to what I said before. I don't remember. But for your listeners, go out and support live music wherever you live, because there's always lots of musicians everywhere, and there'll be musicians where you live, and it's probably not easy for them to work or earn a living at playing music, and a lot of venues don't want to have live music because it's a lot cheaper to stick a CD in the machine and play it over the loudspeaker. But there's nothing like seeing a little group of guys or girls with real instruments playing and singing, and it's not as common as it used to be, and that's a real shame. So maybe that's a little something for your listeners. Go and see what's happening in your local area, because there's so many musicians out there, and half of them don't get the chance to play because the venues would sooner, press a button and have something coming over the machine.
Ladies and gentlemen, you can visit davisfowkes.com. Conal, thanks so much for this interview. I appreciate it.
Paul, it's been a pleasure again, and thank you so much for having me on the show. I look forward to seeing you or hearing from you again.
All right. God bless.
Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.